The latest reading on CEO confidence shows business leaders are still not as confident as they were earlier this year. The survey by the Conference Board in collaboration with the Business Council shows that CEO confidence slipped further from an all-time high in the second quarter, although overall CEOs remain somewhat optimistic as we enter 2022. For details on the survey and much more, we're right now joined by Roger Ferguson, Distinguished Fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, former CEO of TIAA, and former Vice Chairman of the Federal Reserve. And Roger, this is pretty interesting. You would think at this point CEOs would start to feel better. I mean, I know I do. What's going on? What do they see that I don't?
Well, I think they see actually what you do see, which is supply chain conditions continue to be problematic in many, many industries. I think the ability to hire workers is a widespread challenge across many sectors as well. But importantly, Becky, to your point, their future optimism has remained a little bit stronger than their assessment of current conditions. So I think they're recognizing that they have work to do. They have not lost faith altogether. And the things that they're worried about are the things that you and this team report on almost a daily basis.
The idea that they're still pretty worried at this point, and still having trouble hiring people and still looking at real snarls in the supply chain, I get all of that. Is part of it, you think, though, too, that it's just kind of being beaten down, thinking that, man, this is going on a long time and people are tired?
I think that's part of it. I mean, I know when I was a CEO, the expectation was that we'd be back into the office almost full time at this stage. And I still think the active CEOs are worried about these health questions. Obviously, this survey came out a little bit before the Omicron variant, but that's got to weigh in on people at this stage. I think some of this is, many of us were hoping, expecting that we'd be further along in a return to normality, and that still is not yet the case. And at the end of the day, the buck stops at the CEO desk. So she or he is confronting many of these challenges, maybe in a prolonged fashion.
Yeah, the conventional wisdom, at least recently, has been that the supply chain issues maybe are peaking right around now, and things are going to get better from here. But I will say, in talking to some CEOs and talking to some business leaders, it sounds like there are concerns that this could stretch for a very long time. You're not talking about peaking and then dropping pretty substantially. Maybe you peak, but maybe you drag along at a plateau for a pretty long time into 2022. Is that what you hear too?
Exactly. And some of the survey results actually suggest that while things are not getting worse, they're getting better, but very, very slowly. And absolutely, into the second, third, maybe fourth quarter of 2022, I'm starting to hear things are pretty snarled, and it's going to take some time to get this unwrapped, so to speak, unraveled. So I'm hearing exactly what you're hearing. Indeed, that may be playing into some of these, concerns that we're seeing. We're still optimistic, CEOs are, but somewhat less optimistic than before.